What is up, everybody? Welcome to DSM pregame live. Phillies Marlins game 2 of a 3-game set preview. I'm your host, Dylan JD98, and I am with my man, the host of Trending in the AM and Fairway to Heaven, Phil Stifle at Beard and Knowledge on Twitter. Today, we will be going over the pitching matchup. Little bit of a rough slate there, Phil. Little bit of rough sledding there. Best bets, keys to victory, the lineup card, all that and much more when we're back in 30 seconds.
Holding gets around in front. And Philadelphia has it.
What's going on, everybody? We are live here on DSM Media on our Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter channels. If you don't already, head on over to @DSM_media on Twitter. Hit that follow button. Check out the link tree in our bio. It'll take you to every social media platform we are available on. But most importantly, if you want to get involved in today's show, head on over to the YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button, like this video, and we will get your comments, questions, concerns all pulled up on the screen. But Phil, what's going on, my man? Busy day for you.
Busy day, morning show, work, jump in the pool. I'm still in my bathing suit. I got a towel wrapped around me right now.
Going back in after?
As soon as we're done this, I'm going to put it on the SiriusXM app and jump back in the pool to listen to the game.
There you go. What's it, still 100 degrees outside?
The pool water is definitely 100 degrees.
No.
It's like jumping into bath water, my pool right now.
Yeah, but like I said, guys, on DSM pregame live here, we will be going over the pitching matchup between the Phillies and the Marlins, the lineup card, best bets, keys to victory. But before we get into all of that, Phil, I want to gloss over last night's victory, 4-1 for the Fightins. They make it 6 straight as they look for 7 tonight. What stood out to you in last night's win? I know you already talked about Zach Wheeler on the morning show today. Very gutsy performance from him last night. He didn't have his best stuff. His control, his command was off from the jump. He only got through 6 innings and had to throw 110, right around 110 pitches, but he got the job done. Made one mistake taking over the right field wall, but that was it. Only gives 1 run up in 6 innings pitched, K'd 8. What were your thoughts on his performance last night, and how big of a help was that? Even when he doesn't have his best stuff, it's still a lot better than a lot of other guys can offer.
Yeah, I mean, I went into detail this morning on the morning show how I feel Zach Wheeler is severely underappreciated, how great his run has been since day one in Philly. And last night, you just spelled it out. He did not have his best stuff at all. But what was his line again? 1 run, 8 Ks. How many walks did he have? Like 1 walk?
I think he walked 2. I think he only walked 2.
Okay.
But only like 4 or 5 hits. Yeah.
He's still, I mean, you would take that 9 times out of 10 out of any pitcher. But because it's Zach Wheeler, we expect 8 innings, 10 Ks, no walks. We expect we have such high expectations for Zach Wheeler on a regular basis that last night's performance, which was a really good performance, he didn't have his best stuff. And it's kind of crazy to think, and I really, truly, firmly believe, and I've doubled down and tripled down on it, this little 3-run stretch, depending on how this year ends, may be one of the best 3-year stretches that any Phillies pitcher has ever had. I mean, he's straight, just automatic every time out there.
I gotta find the stat line that Jason Stark had put out, but it was essentially Zach Wheeler at home in his last X amount of starts. It might even be this season. I forget. At home, he's got a 1.09 ERA over his last X amount of starts in a Phillies uniform. You're right. Now, when you want to talk about the names, I saw the clip. When you want to throw out the names, Cliff Lee, Roy Halladay, Cole Hamels, it's hard to sit here and be like, you know, he's not better than those guys per se, but this stretch he's going on is very difficult to have a 3-year stretch of this dominant baseball. And it's been this way since the Phillies paid him.
And it's really the only difference between what Zach Wheeler is doing now and what Roy Halladay, Cole Hamels, Cliff Lee did is Cole Hamels won a World Series. Cliff Lee got to a World Series. Roy Halladay had a no-hitter and a perfect game in the same season. Roy Halladay didn't make a World Series. You know what I mean? So yes, those guys were super dominant, but it was the results of the team. If this Phillies team makes the playoffs this year, if they win a series and Zach Wheeler has a great game one in the first round of the playoffs, we might actually, well, I already believe it, but everybody else that disagrees with me might actually start jumping on and realizing how dominant he has been. I need a Jason Stark, a Paul Hembo, one of those stat geniuses to really compare this 3-year stretch
compared to what was
those
done in the
guys
past.
and really those guys that really could get deep down into the stats to really break it down. Because you just don't see this. You just don't see it on a regular basis.
No, you don't. He's come here and he's been the ace that we so desperately needed. But sticking with the arms on this team, not just that the starter was gutsy and really good last night. This bullpen was shut down when they stepped into it last night. First of all, Jose Alvarado, let's talk about that for a second.
Yep.
Just had Connor Thomas on the Faithful Fanatic show from 97.5 The Fanatic, and he kind of not laughed, but made a comment about how great Jose Alvarado has been since he was sent down to AAA. And my man is as close to untouchable with that 100-mile-an-hour fastball. He's finally able to have a command of it. He's finally able to control that 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and he's painting the corners up and in, away and up. So he's looked really good. David Robertson comes in the 8th, shutdown inning, flashed the glove for a second. I don't know if you saw that one, flashed the glove for a ground out. And then Sir Anthony, I mean, what does he do, dude? He comes up. Reese has a little bit of an oopsie at first base, kind of just throws the ball forward. Leadoff runner on, you're like, oh boy, here we go. He ends the game in the next 4 pitches. Double play in the very next pitch, and then strikes out the last batter on 3 consecutive pitches. Bullpen lockdown again. I know we continue to talk about it, but how big or how much faith do you have in the back end of this bullpen right now? Because there's a lot of guys back there.
Well, I have faith in not just the back end, all ends of the bullpen, because you don't have Familia anymore. You don't have, everybody's in a certain role now. By bringing in David Robertson and the fact that Rob Thompson has given these guys legit roles. Alvarado is confident out there right now. Alvarado realizes he can go out. If he makes a mistake, it's not going to mean that he gets demoted anymore. He knows his role everybody knows their role. And I've talked about it since day one this year. Bullpen people need to know their role. They're the weird, relief pitchers have this really weird mindset sitting out there in that bullpen all game long. You never know when your number's going to be called. You never know what the game is going to unfold, whether you're going to pitch or whether you're not going to pitch. It's so
gotta be nerve-wracking as well.
It is. It's so refreshing. These guys have got to be feeling that they know their role and they have their manager and their team has confidence. And the offense is clicking. So if Alvarado goes out there and gives up a solo home run last night, he knows it's not the end of the game because JT's hitting, Reese is hitting, Castellanos is getting back on his, getting closer to back to where he needs to be.
Sure.
All that plays into a factor. I literally, if we can get through 6 innings and be in the lead, there is literally zero doubt that we win the game in my mind at this point. And I know we're going to lose a game at some point, because of the bullpen.
No,
but 9 times out of 10, you get a lead, the bullpen's going to hold it.
Right. No more 7-1 leads in the 9th inning getting blown from this point out. But speaking of showing up to the ballpark every day and knowing your role, knowing where you're going to be used at, the same can be said for the lineup under Rob Thompson. No more really shuffling around the lineup. I know you had Amundo Sosa start last night, and you had Matt Vierling out there in the field last night. So you had those bats at the back end, move some things around. Got that part. But for the most part, specifically the top 5 guys are remaining consistent right now. And the cleanup hitter, who we've questioned in the cleanup spot for the last couple of games, being JT Realmuto, as you mentioned, is on fire. Not only is this team on fire, he's on fire. He's hitting for pop. He's hitting for power. He drove in 2 of the 4 runs last night in big moments, by the way. So, not big moments late in the game, but essentially what happened is, Bohm gets on because of a tremendous error by the Marlins. I don't know the last time I saw a second baseman run that far out into right field and just ignore everything and collide with his right fielder. Bohm gets it on the second with it. And what does JT do? Gets the end of the bat out across the plate, double down the line, boom, drives in the first one. Wheeler makes one mistake, 1-1 ball game. JT leading off the very next inning see ya, good night, 2-1 ball game, retake the lead, right? In important moments, he's stepping up. And to me, he's one of the catalysts leading this lineup. And I don't know, a couple months ago, 2 months ago, I was sitting here talking about how big of a problem is JT. He's not getting talked about enough. He's not calling great games behind home plate. He's not hitting for power. And now here he is. I think he's hitting close to 270 now, or he's over 270. 5 home runs in his last 15 games. He is on a tear.
Mm-hmm. See, the great thing about JT is he's probably, at least we expected coming into this season. And, we talk about streaky hitters. You got the Schwarbers, the Hoskins, the guys that go on tears, but then also go ice cold. That's not who JT is. JT is the one guy in our lineup that is a pretty consistent guy. Never gets too high, never gets too low. He just had a really bad stretch in this season. He is out of it. And it's not like Kyle Schwarber, when Kyle Schwarber in July was red hot and now he's kind of cooled off. Since he's got his confidence back, JT, I have the confidence that he is going to get this. It's going to be prolonged, this stretch. It's not going to be 2 weeks of red hot,
2 weeks, yeah.
Followed by 2 weeks of hitting 190. You know what I mean? So he is our most hit. Well, Bohm to an extent is as well, but he's still pretty young. But JT's probably our most gifted hitter in our lineup in the sense of singles, doubles, opposite field, pull, whatever you need. You need a sac fly, I could do it. He's our best hitter in that kind of a sense.
And it's huge that one of the leaders is also starting to wake up at this point of the year as well. But Phil, enough about last night. Let's get into tonight's game, because I know it's still the Marlins. I know it's still that lineup, but this one is a little more difficult. The Phils are going up against, right now, the odds-on favorite to win the NL Cy Young and Sandy Alcantara. Noah Syndergaard pitching for the Phillies. We saw his debut last week. Very shaky. Threw a complete game and a win. However, that complete game was cut short due to rain. Gave up like 11.
He leads the Phillies in complete games.
Yeah. 11 hits, 4 runs through 5 innings. And I was saying this earlier on Faithful Fanatics. It was very odd to me, his debut, because his early count stuff looked really good. His off-speed stuff, he was painting corners. Everything was down the zone, missing bats. He had numerous 1-2 and 0-2 counts. He just couldn't miss anybody. And every 0-2, 1-2 count was a changeup or a four-seamer right down the pipe. And it's just getting sprayed all across the field.
It wasn't
like
they were getting crushed or ripped.
No.
Hits. A lot of those hits were, there was 1 or 2 that, like, the guy hit it, everybody was shifted to right field.
Right.
He hit that third base line. Or a bloop in front of, was it Schwarber or Castellanos that pulled up on a bloop hit? Lot of them were,
yeah.
Was it Castellanos?
Well, he also threw someone out at home to save the game, basically.
Exactly. There was a lot of bloops and just isn't there like a detailed analytics stat, that goes into
not
to an extent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. Like basically not hard hit balls find their way for hits. There's a stat for it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's basically what a lot of those hits were. It's not like he gave up 4 doubles and 2 home runs.
Right.
He gave up 10 out of the 11 hits were singles. And most of those singles were not hard hit. I don't worry about that performance from Noah Syndergaard at all. I expect him to come out a very immature young Marlins lineup. It's not his debut anymore. It's not 120. It's still hot out, but it's not 120 degrees with excessive humidity. That game, everybody was just dripping with sweat and all in that game. I don't expect that. So I'm confident that he can come out tonight and at least control the game, control the tempo of the game, and young Marlins team, and take care of business. Let me see here.
I'm with you.
Career, there's 5 guys have faced Noah Syndergaard in their career. The leadoff hitter Wendell's 2 for 3 in his career. Rojas has got 21 at bats. He's 5 for 21. Drove in a run. Cooper, their DH, is 1 for 7. He's got a 3-run home run against him. De La Cruz is 1 for 3, and Stallings, not Scott Stallings to my golf people, Jay Stallings, the catcher. Yeah, 0 for 4. Scott Stallings, one of my favorite golfers right now.
So not a lot of work against him. You mentioned, what was it? Miguel Rojas has 21 at bats against him, so that's the most. But everything else is 3, 4 at bats. So fairly new to him. Someone that's not new to the Phillies is Sandy Alcantara.
Yep. Every
1 to
single guy in
10.
this lineup has now seen him.
1 to 10. What's your worry level at, Phil?
I mean, my worry level isn't that he's going to come out and dominate us. It's how well is he going to pitch? Like his level of pitching tonight compared to Noah Syndergaard. We know Sandy Alcantara is not going to give up 7 runs tonight, which means Noah Syndergaard's got to match him to an extent. If we want this to be a win, if we expect this to be a win, he needs to come out and match him. In the last game, last time we faced Sandy Alcantara?
We beat him 2-1. It was 1-0.
Who was that matchup against? Because I don't know that.
I want to say Gibson or Suarez, one or the other.
Somebody matched him inning for inning. Now, can you expect? Here, I'm pulling it up right now. That box score. That was going down here. Yeah, it was Kyle Gibson went 6 innings, gave up 1 run, struck out 5 that game. Where Alcantara went 8 innings, gave up 2 runs, struck out 12. Right. Can Noah Syndergaard match him? Because we know Sandy Alcantara is going to throw 7 or 8 innings. We're going to get 1 or 2 runs. We're going to strike out a ton tonight. It's up to Noah Syndergaard. We know what it's going to be from Alcantara. It doesn't worry me because I know what it's going to be.
All I'm going to say is trust me, I agree. Don't let this Phillies lineup put some damage on Sandy Alcantara's Cy Young.
Do you have a better opinion on it?
No. I'm saying I'm already confident in this Phillies team. I'm already Mr. Optimistic in this Phillies team. Do not let, if you are not a Phillies fan, I promise you don't want this to happen because I won't be able to shut up for the next 3 days. If they go out there and the bats stay hot and the ball's flying around Citizens Bank Park tonight and they drop a 4 or 5 spot on Sandy Alcantara in 5 innings, don't let it happen because I'll be on the morning show tomorrow with you running my damn mouth. Because you think, listen, I get it. DeGrom, Scherzer, if they can roll against Sandy, they're rolling with either one of those two. And now I know DeGrom's the best when he's on, but DeGrom ain't going more than 5 or 6 right now. Mm-hmm. So I don't got to worry about him going complete game, 8 inning, nothing like that. I'm getting to that bullpen. So the Phillies tonight, can they get Sandy Alcantara? And let's see what we're working with here, Phil. Kyle Schwarber leading off in left field. Rhys Hoskins at first base batting second. Alec Boehm in the 3-hole on the hot corner. JT Realmuto still cleaning up as the catcher. Nick Castellanos hitting 5th in right field. Derek Hall back in the lineup DHing, hitting 6th. Mean Gene hitting 7th at second base. He also homered last night. Bryson Stott back in the lineup at shortstop batting 8th. And Brandon Marsh batting 9th in center field. Basically, it's the same thing you've been seeing, right? This lineup looks no different than a couple days ago when all the same players were in it. Thoughts on it? And if you got anything for them, I asked this on the Faithful Fanatics show. What would be your way to trying to break Sandy Alcantara? Are you more of let's get out on him early in counts and try to put the ball in play? Because if you get down 0-2, 1-2, you're probably going night-night. Or are you more of work the count, take pitches, get his pitch count up. Hopefully he's in the 90s, 80s by the 5th inning or something like that.
I mean, I could see both ways. I could see the, both ways and why someone would say either. I'm personally on a guy like Sandy Alcantara. The Marlins bullpen is not that great.
No.
I want to get to the bullpen as quickly as possible. I don't want him going 8 innings. That's the key to me. I need him out of there after the 6th inning. That's what I need. I need them to work the counts. Hell, work the counts and strike out. I don't care. They struck out 12 times in the last game against them. Strike out 12 times in the first 6 innings for all I care. Honestly, it does not bother me at all. But you got to work the count, and you gotta chase him from this game. If he goes 8 innings, strikes out 12 again, 2-1 is not going to be the win. It's going to be a 2-1 loss, more likely. You know what I mean? We're not going to win a 2-1 game again if he goes 8 innings. So, you've got to try to find a way to chase him, whether it's being super selective with your pitching, drive that pitch count up, or be selective. And when you see your pitch, pounce on it, either or, you got to do it. But also the key thing here, how long ago was that game against Sandy Alcantara?
It was the second to last game before the All-Star break.
A couple weeks ago.
Right.
We were already getting better at that point, but at this moment, this is a much better team than it was then. Gene Segura's back. You don't have Odubel Herrera in the lineup anymore. Stott's playing every single day almost in that lineup.
Marsh is out there.
Hotter. JT is red hot. This lineup is a completely different confidence level lineup than it was that time. So, again, these guys got to be selective. But is this a weird word to say or phrase? Aggressively selective.
I like it. No, it makes sense.
Aggressively, I can't even say it again.
Aggressively selective.
I have not been drinking. This is my first drink here today. Aggressively selective.
I think my biggest thing when you're facing a guy like Sandy Alcantara is, again, everything you've been saying, and you can make the argument for either side here, but one thing you cannot do is miss his mistakes. For instance, I'm just like, there's examples of, do not, if strike one, and I know you can get fooled, you're looking for one thing and you get something else on the first pitch, but if the first pitch of your at bat is a four-seamer, now I know it's going to be fast. It's going to be 98, whatever. If you have a four-seamer, belt high, over the middle of the plate, you do not take it to see a pitch, because the very next pitch, the rest of your at-bat, you're not seeing a better pitch than that. Just like if it's a 1-1 count, a 2-1 count, and he slips with a slider or he slips with a sinker or a changeup and you swing, please don't miss it, because with a guy like this, you're not going to get many more opportunities like that. Do not miss his mistakes tonight. No one's perfect. He's as close to perfect as you can probably get, but no one's perfect, and he's going to make a few mistakes here and there throughout tonight's game. Don't miss it. I'm not saying crush it over the fence for a home run, but put one in the gap, rip one down the line when he misses over the plate. Do something like that to get some momentum for your team. I think early base runners are incredibly important for this lineup as well. The Phillies have done a lot better of a job hitting with runners on and 2 outs. Phil, when the hell was the last time we've seen that? When teams make a mistake like that error last night, they're making them pay and driving that runner in from second. So all positive things snowballing into tonight, and you just have to hope that this offense can somehow stay hot against one of the league's best in Sandy Alcantara. With that being said, keys to victory, again, we're slim pickings here. It is essentially, I don't know what you have, but it is essentially take whatever you can get against Sandy, and you have to hope that Noah can. Matching him's a tough thing to say, if
Kyle Gibson matched him,
sure, but I think
similar skill set or similar level pitchers. You know what I mean? So Noah Syndergaard's going to have 2 or 3 really good outings the rest of this year. When are they going to come?
Right.
And one of those 2 or 3 outings needs to be tonight. That's the key to it. Noah Syndergaard. Matching is a tough word, yes. So the last game, Sandy Alcantara, he went 8 innings, gave up 2 runs, struck out 12.
Gibson won 6.
Gibson only went 6 and gave up 1 run. That's still matching him.
Right. Through 6 innings, you essentially, yes.
You matched 100%. Him essentially. He had given up 0 runs, Alcantara, through 6 innings, but you basically kept the team in the ball game.
For sure.
Noah Syndergaard needs to do that. He needs to keep the team in the ball game. And to an extent, if Alcantara gives up 2 runs, well, Noah Syndergaard can't give up more than 2 runs. If Alcantara goes 1 run, Syndergaard can't give up 2 runs. You know what I mean? It really comes down to Noah Syndergaard needs to be 2 runs or less for us to win this game.
I agree. I would maybe put the cap on 3.
Can I ask you a question about that, though?
Yeah.
Because this is an important game, because it's Alcantara going against him, does Rob Thompson have a short leash with Noah Syndergaard tonight? Because the bullpen has been great. If he's in the 5th inning, only given up 2 runs, but maybe has given up 8 or 9 hits already, has a lower pitch count, but, do you get what I'm getting at? Does he have a shorter leash with Noah Syndergaard tonight?
That's interesting, right? Like, we all know that Noah wasn't going, even if that rain stopped and that game continued the other night, Noah wasn't going back out there to pitch the top of the 6th, so he was only going 5, right? And I think that in itself, he only had a 70 or 80 or so pitch count. He probably could have thrown another inning or 2 if he had his stuff. So I do agree. I don't know how short it is. I'm not going to say something outlandish like If he gives up 3 runs in the first 3 innings, he's going to try to switch it up. But I wouldn't expect him to go past like 4 2/3 or 5 innings if he's struggling a bit. No way in hell. I don't think you can afford to. Like you said, if Alcantara is cruising and we're getting into the 5th, 6th inning here, and it's 3-0, and you notice Syndergaard struggling with his control and command, yeah, you probably do have to pull the plug a little bit earlier on that one, Phil. But before we get into predictions for tonight, I know we did one last time. Now, I don't have a parlay for you, but you got any best bets tonight?
Well, I'm looking at the I actually pulled up DraftKings here. Yeah.
Trying to find a straggler?
I don't bet baseball because it's so tough. And I bet that last game I had a 3-leg parlay. I thought it was
we got crushed. We got crushed.
Yeah. Got crushed. So I'm just looking at all the different bets, all the different things. I think the under 7.5 runs total at -115 is what I'm looking at right now. Now, I mean, I've looked at some of the batter and pitcher props. Syndergaard over 5.5 strikeouts. He struck out 2 last time.
Yeah,
it's really risky.
Right.
The outs recorded. I really like the outs recorded thing. There's a prop.
Yeah. What's the line?
Syndergaard 17.5 -195 over, +145 under, and that's where that short leash comes into play.
Right.
That's 5 2/3 basically is what they're predicting for Noah Syndergaard.
Yeah.
Where Alcantara is over under 19.5.
Ooh.
Which is what, 6.5
7
innings?
Yeah, 6,
under
7
innings. 6 1/3. So I kind of like that. I actually kind of think that's a fun little prop there, but I wouldn't bet it. I'm thinking the 7.5 under because it's Alcantara is the bet. I think it's going to be a 4-2 game. Whether the Phillies win 4-2 or lose 4-2, I don't know. But I think the under 7.5 is pretty smart bet this evening on the Phillies.
It's funny you said I was looking at the first 5 total, and it's set at 3.5, and I was kind of leaning under there a little bit, but I'm going to switch it up a little bit more fun of a prop. JT Realmuto, I'm sticking with the hot hand here, over 1.5 total bases tonight at +150. I think he stays hot. Hey man, it doesn't have to be against Sandy. I can catch you in the 8th inning slipping with that bullpen, and JT might park one or put one in the gap. So I'm going with JT over 1.5 total bases at +150. Phil is going with the under 7.5 total runs for tonight's ball game. I like both. We got about 18 minutes before those bets will lock, so get those in if you want to tail. Phil, I know you said 4-2. I know you don't know which way to go, but if you had to put money on it, will the Phillies go for 7 straight tonight?
Absolutely. Power of positivity. Why not? But the only way it's going to happen is if we get Sandy Alcantara out of there before the 7th inning. If he's cruising and he goes 7-8 innings, I don't know. I'm banking that this is a 2-1, 2-2 game going into the late innings, and the Phillies are able, maybe JT Realmuto for you, maybe Realmuto drives in a few runs late in this game. Castellanos hasn't cooled off per se, but that little burst we saw, maybe Castellanos gets a big home run late in this game off the bullpen, and that's how we get to 4-2. So 4-2 Phillies with 2 to 3 runs scored in the 8th and 9th inning of this game.
4-2, it's such a good score to pick tonight because it's not overdoing it for the Phil's offense, and it's not saying that Syndergaard's going to hold him. Like, for a second, I almost lowered you a little bit and went 3-1, but I'm like, 1 run, that might be a little tough to pull out.
So I got a question for you before you give your score.
Yeah.
Have you ever bet in football exact scores? It's so tough. 27-3, whatever. So you could do it in baseball too. And those numbers normally on exact scores are outlandishly huge numbers.
Yeah.
It's only 18-1 for the Phillies to win 4-2 as the exact score. You only get 18-1 on your money. And you only get, hold on.
That's
it was
pretty
right
wild.
there. You only get 19-1 for the Marlins, 4-2.
Wow. All right, here comes my score. Tell me what these odds bring you, Phil. I'm going Phillies 5, Marlins 3. I'm going to up it a little bit.
That's 19-1.
So nothing for me.
I know.
I mean, it's not nothing, but it's like to predict the winner and correct score, that seems a little ridiculous to me.
With the exact score bets.
Yeah, I know. But guys, that is going to wrap up DSM pregame live. Phillies, Marlins preview. Stay tapped into DSM Media on Twitter at DSM_media for all of our updates and shows, as well as our YouTube channel. We're up to 620 now, guys. The road to 700. Continue to help us out. We greatly appreciate it. It's free. It's a YouTube channel. Just hit the button real quick.
No paywalls at DSM Media.
No. So head on over there. Hit that follow button. Hit that subscribe button. Like this video. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. Ring the bell, fellas. And ladies and fellas, ring the bell. Have a great night and enjoy the game. Yeah.
And Philadelphia has it.